Today, you're gonna learn how to make a Moog bass like Ben Bohmer's and TINLICKER's track called Voodoo, and it sounds like this. This is the original track. And if you listen to the recreation, pretty damn close. Again, let's go and let's dive in directly in this tutorial. We're gonna start here by just picking SERUM. Normally I would leave my bass over here, but for this sound I'm gonna put it over here because it needs to crackle a little bit according to the original. And you can see that what I mean with crackle is the sound is like. And now this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick the filter over here. We're gonna activate this filter. We're gonna put this filter and put it around something like this because we're gonna have a mid bass. So we're gonna take a lot of the mid bass from this sound. But we also want a little bit of mid bass in this sound. So we're gonna pick this resonance, and you can see how the mids enhance with the resonance over here. So we're gonna leave it somewhere like this. And then we're also gonna boost a little bit of the body of the sound here. If we increase the drive, this will saturate the sound a little bit, and this will make the sound a little bit more coherent as well. The last thing that we have to do is just pick and put it to around something like this. And boom, we have our first bass. Now we're gonna start and go into the second bass over here. In the second bass, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna put this one to -2. But we're gonna also activate oscillator A and B. And however, for this sound, I thought that they used Diva, which is a more analog kind of feeling. This is too digital for it, and that's why we're gonna use here a basic MIDI. A basic MIDI, essentially, it's really close to a saw wave, but it's a little bit more analog. One thing that we have to pay attention, though, is how the sound is sounding in the original song. So, for example, it sounds like it's a detuned sound. It sounds like it's a mono sound because it doesn't have that much stereo. So how can we get a detuned sound without stereo? Because again, when we increase the detune over here, which you're gonna have to do, this gets a really stereo sound. Even if you put this a little bit down, it's too stereo comparing to the original. How we're gonna do this and how we're gonna solve this. We're gonna go to the global over here. The first thing we're gonna do is the range of the detune is just how much the detune is actually going to detune. So we're gonna just increase and put it to 1 over here. Can you see how it sounds a bit different? Now we're gonna pick the width over here and put it all the way down. Can you see how it's becoming a lot more mono? Back to the oscillator. Now in the oscillator, we just have to pick this and put it a bit louder in the -2, and this a bit louder as well. But this will be the loudest one. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the filter, and in the filter, we're gonna modulate here. I'm gonna put it to a MG low 12. MG stands for Moog low 12. So essentially, we're already getting a more Moogy kind of filter as well. So now we're gonna pick A and B. We're gonna pick and put this cutoff a little bit down. We can barely listen to this, and if you listen to the original again, it has a little bit more of a high end into the sound. So we're gonna have to modulate this with either envelope 1 or envelope 2. So we're gonna come here. The first thing we're gonna do is put this over here, and we're gonna delay how fast it reaches the top. So not only this, but we're gonna pick this and put this here. And we don't want to reach the top and stay there. We want to reach the top and come back a little bit. So we're gonna pick the sustain, come back a little bit now. Essentially, that's it. Now decay, we're gonna make this a bit longer. And also the release a little bit higher as well. But we don't want it that high. If you listen to the original, it's not that high. So we're gonna pick this and put it back a little bit to somewhere like this. And that's enough. Now we're gonna also pick the drive over here and put it a lot high. Can you see how much body it brings to the sound? And again, as we did in the bass, it brings the body of the sound. And we're gonna take a little bit of those mids with the resonance here. Essentially, that's mainly it, but we have one last thing to do. Here's the MIDI of the sound, and if you look at it, it's the same thing for all the 3 channels. But can you see also over here that we're doing some velocity changes as well? So essentially, the velocity is really high over here and really low over there. We're gonna go back to SERUM, and in SERUM, you're gonna pick the velocity here and put it to somewhere like this. Now let's go into the effects section, and in the effects section we're going to use distortion, we're going to use a filter, and we're going to use an EQ. Why the distortion? Well, the distortion, we just want to bring a little bit of body in the sound, a little bit of crisp in the sound. But again, we don't want something that harsh, we want something a little bit more analog, so a soft click is perfect for this one. We're going to go and increase the drive. Can you see how without the velocity, it just brings a little bit of character, a little bit of grit in the sound. Now, filter, we're gonna leave MG low 6. We're not gonna do any automation. We're just gonna go with the cutoff end. Because we don't want a lot of the high end that came up with the drive and that we included with the drive. So that's why the filter is here. So not only this, but we're gonna pick the resonance also, put it a little bit higher to create a little bit of the effect. And we're also gonna pick and include a drive over here. Again, the drive is gonna push a little bit more body. It's gonna saturate the sound, and that's why I feel with a little bit more body. Now, EQ, that's the last step, because again, we already have a bass here. We don't need another bass coming from here. We can take this bass out. Because again, we already have it here. We're also gonna pick this and put it a little bit higher. And we're also gonna take a little bit of the mids as well. So this is gonna go quite over here. We're gonna just pick. We want less of those mids over here, but like just a tiny thing. And we're gonna use a bell curve for this, and with the Q a little bit smaller as well, so it becomes a little bit wider. The last thing that we're gonna have to do over here, we're gonna have to go here and pick an EQ. You can use any external EQ. We're just gonna have to cut a little bit of those low frequencies over here. Just so you can listen without. Again, we already have bass there, but we don't need another one. That's why we're further cutting with another EQ over here. So the last thing that we need is to include a noise, because if you listen to the original, it has those kind of effect over here. It's really clear over here. And we don't have this at the moment. Why are we not doing the noise over here in the noise section? Because we want a different attack. We want a different filter for it. So we're going to have to do in a different channel as well. Let's go into the different channel. We're going to deactivate the oscillator A, activate the noise, put the noise a little bit higher, and activate the noise. But again, it's not a constant noise, not shh, it's like so again, we're going to have to use a filter to modulate the sound as well. MG low 12, we're going to have to activate the noise, otherwise the noise won't go through. We're going to pick this cutoff and put it a little bit down. We barely listen to anything, just low end. And again, we're going to have to go in the envelope too and put it over here. But we don't want it fully up. We just want to. So again, let's peak the attack and let's increase the attack a little bit so it takes a little bit more time until it reaches the peak of the resonance filter. That's about it. Now, in addition to that, we don't want it to, again, stay at the peak. We want it to go to the peak and go down. So sustain a little bit down as well. Because we want to be like a And the decay has to be really long over here. That's essentially how they're doing over there. Same thing for the release. The last thing that we're going to do over here in the sound, we're going to pick this modulation and put it a little bit down because it's not that high in the original. But you can see it like, Leo, but it's high in the original. Yeah, we're going to have to do the velocity thing again because, again, some notes we wanted higher, some notes we wanted smaller. So now for the second and for the fourth note, we want a lot of velocity. For the first and third, we don't want that much. It's the same progression again. But velocity over here, and we're going to pick it and put it a little bit down. But this one is going to be a lot higher. That's why we're using the velocity over here. In addition to that, just to make it a little bit not static, we're going to go here into the LFO. We're going to go into the folder, a bit crazy, and we're going to just take this off just to make something like a wave over here. We're going to increase and put this over here in the cutoff. So, and I'm going to put this like just a way to make this a little bit not stable. But we don't want it. We don't want it that fast. We want it just a tiny bit. So you can see that it's not stable, right? And that's what we want with this one. We don't want stability over there. That's why we're doing this into the sound. Now we have to go back into the filter. In the filter, we're going to pick the drive again. Increase a lot of the body. This is going to increase a lot of the low end and also increase the resonance because we want the kind of effect now. But again, we don't want that low end over there. So we're just going to go here into the EQ. We're going to go and use a low cut filter. This is going to go down and just the high end because again, bass, mid bass, high end. We don't need that low frequency that we had before. So now the last thing that we're going to do over here, we're going to pick the filter and use the filter. In addition to that, MG low 12. And now we're going to change a little bit of the filter because essentially we don't have any sound now. Again, this is being filtered. We're going to even filter even more. But we're going to pick this envelope too. And there you go. But we're going to increase the resonance over here a little bit. And the drive as well. Again, more body. Now, if we listen to the sound again. The white noise is too loud, so we're gonna just come here in the master, just put it a little bit down. And that is it for the sound. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you loved it, subscribe to the channel because it helps us a lot. And I hope to see you soon in the next Abstrakt video next week. Ciao.